When I worked at the police, I witnessed how fast the world was changing. Protests and demonstrations seemed to be rising like never before. The refugee crisis was rising. Not only that, it was escalating, and mental health issues led to so many suicides. I saw this when I worked at the Anti-ISIS Coalition, Counterterrorism as well, where I used to train Marines in cultural awareness. Something didn't seem to add up. We spend so much money on so many wars, and yet we have no money to feed the poor. I was absolutely baffled by these occurrences. If the outside energy is in such chaos, then inside we're struggling even more. And this is the problem in today's world. We are not on the right frequency to manifest everything that we want in our life. We think about what we don't want. We think about the 9-to-5 job that we hate. We say yes to the wrong friendships, and we say yes to the relationship that drains us. Why do we do this? It's because we believe that this is as good as life will get for us. Don't forget that everything is energy, and everything has a frequency. Even our thoughts operate on a certain frequency. In other words, we are creating the outcome of our lives. This brings me to a very special boy that I met during my time in the Middle East as a correspondent. This was an orphan boy, and he had nothing. Even his clothes were gifted to him by the generosity of people. And when he met me, he insisted on giving me free bread, even though he didn't have much, and I couldn't understand it. And I asked him, "Why would you give me free bread?" He responded, "What you give out comes back to you." I thought his wisdom at such a young age was so profound, because this is where quantum physics come in. Emotions like anger and frustrations have a lower frequency than emotions like joy and love. Now, if you would match your frequency to the reality that you want, then you would attract that. Like Einstein said, everything is energy. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. There can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. We can even feel energy. Have you ever met someone and you thought, "Damn, this feels great"? That is flowing energy. And have you ever met someone and thought, "Keep away from me"? Now that is stagnant energy. There was a very cool experiment done with rice. One jar of rice would hear very mean and nasty and hateful words, while the other jar would hear loving and kind and supportive words. The results that happened after this were striking. The jar that heard all the positive words remained, while the other jar decayed. The rice decayed much faster. Now think about this. If rice reacts like this to our human emotions, then how does your body react to your emotions? And how does our body react to the outside energy that we let in? Someone who was really great at harnessing his energy used to be Steve Jobs. In fact, he was so protective of his energy that he wouldn't let outside energies throw him off his goal. That's why he always wore the same outfit. He was so particular that he didn't want to get rid of that energy. And here's you and me just sprinkling away that energy as we go along the day. I used to be like that as well. I had a 9-to-5 job that I didn't really like. My friendships drained me. It was like this black hole that I was in, and I didn't seem to get out of it. I was in a toxic environment. And that's when I decided to drop all the things that weren't working out for me anymore. And I was quite drastic with this. I just started dropping with no backup plan. Now, what happens if you start to drop with no backup plan is you make room for everything else to enter in your life. So I dare you, let go of that job, that relationship, or that friendship that is draining you. Because unconsciously, you will make room for all the right things to enter your life that way. This reminds me of a shepherd that I met in the Middle East. A very cool shepherd. He was from Germany. And this shepherd, he used to be a very wealthy businessman. He had 2 cars, 2 companies, and a lot of money. After his wife died of cancer, he started dropping everything that weighed him down. And I mean everything, because he realized this is not what is bringing me happiness. He was very cool when I met him, and he told me, in order to create the life you want, you must learn to drop everything that is weighing you down. Because in order to fly, we must drop the things down that are weighing us down, and we must follow the calling of our soul. Now, when you start to drop, I can already hear you thinking, no way, this is not going to happen. It's way too scary. I cannot do this. When you start to drop, the inner dialogues will get louder and louder and louder. I'm sure we are all familiar with this. But the consequences of not dropping everything that is no longer working for you are far more severe. Eventually, you will get in a burnout, a depression, or an illness, or an accident. Not because life hates you, but because it wants to point your soul in the right direction. Now, when you start to drop, you must have faith that it will all work out. Even if it's without a backup plan, then even more. When I started to drop everything that was weighing me down, especially with no backup plan, I realized that throughout the day, we spill our energy way too easily on things that don't really matter. I will take you through this. Oh my God, he left the toilet seat up again. I can see some ladies nodding in the back. Yes, auntie, I am still single. Thank you very much. My auntie looks like that, actually. And there is Karen asking you whether you have gained weight or when the baby is due. Phew, there goes your energy. Used to be like that with me as well. So that's when I came up with the pause rule. My pause rule, not to brag or anything, but it has helped so many people to gain control over their energy, to harness it so that they can redirect it. What's the pause rule? Every single day, when I would wake up, I would draw 2 stripes on my pulse that you can see right here. Whenever frustration, irritation, or anger would come up, especially when I let go of all the things that were no longer serving me, first, before responding, I pressed pause. By pressing, you do something remarkable because you reset your nervous system. You literally come back into your body. And after I would press, I'd ask myself, is this really worth my energy? And 9 out of 10 times, the answer would be no. In order to manifest, you must learn to harness your energy, because by harnessing your energy, you can redirect it to the things that you actually want in your life. Now, the results we're striking. Doctors use this, nurses and lawyers and high schoolers. Just by pressing, they'd get, again, back to their body. And then they stop to spill their energy throughout the day. Now, most people do not really know what they want. Maybe you don't know what you want, but you do exactly know what you do not want. So I dare you, start to drop down everything that is no longer working for you. And I'm quite extreme with this, even if it's with no backup plan. Because by dropping, you will create more room unconsciously for all the good things to enter your life. And it will come. Yes, it can be scary, but the relief and the new ideas and the space that you will enter, like that would enter in your life, are totally worth it. You spill your energy way too easily throughout the day, way too easily, and it's such a waste of time. You pretend like you have this infinite energy, but you don't. So therefore, from now on, start to implement the pause rule. I would say tomorrow, start to draw 2 stripes on your pulse every single day. And whenever you feel like reacting to the wrong things, the frustration, the anger, the sadness, press pause, because then you will come back into your body. You will reset your nervous system. And then ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? And I promise you, the answer will be no. This is a lifesaver. I'm not even kidding. Now, a lot of people, when they start to use this, they realize, man, I should have done this faster. Because the new energy, you can redirect it. And that way, you will start to manifest a lot faster. Ignoring the calling of your soul will have consequences on the long run. You can no longer live this way. So start to drop. Like my friend the shepherd said, you think you have all the time in the world, but you don't. So therefore, start to respond to the calling of your soul. It holds all the answers you seek. Thank you.